Have you lost your job? Have you lost a loved one? Are you exhausted caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read Sheila Mac's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. If life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.SheilaMac.com today.
Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio, Mondays at 1 and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific Time. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila. Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio, Mondays at 1 and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific Time. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and today we have special guest Megan Bendtzen. And she is a motivational trainer, speaker, author, and life coach. Megan is the founder and CEO of a company called LifeBacon. And since everything is better with bacon, it's all about making life better. Her mission is to help people find their sizzle so they can live passionate and purposeful lives. All right, welcome to the show, Megan.
Thank you, Sheila. It's really great to be here.
Yes. And I like to start the show off with relating it to my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. This year, we've had just about every situation imaginable hit us. And so I'd love to hear maybe if you have a personal story from your life or maybe your business where you had a tough situation and how you overcame that and got back on track.
Absolutely. Yeah, it happened not long ago. I mean, and it was kind of building for a long time because I've had this sort of never-ending quest to try to figure out what I want to be when I grow up, right? And just found myself, in jobs that were paying the bills that I ended up liking. My last job, I was with 14 years. So it was a career for sure. But it wasn't, what I was passionate about. It wasn't filling my soul. And I didn't believe that it was necessarily what I was meant to do on this earth, but I didn't know what that was. And so I was kind of suffering from what I like to call life atrophy, where it's this feeling that your life is just passing you by and you're kind of on the sidelines and maybe stuck and not fully participating, not fully engaged. And time just keeps going by.
Mhm.
And so earlier this year in May, I found myself in a situation where I had started a side business, and my company, they were cool with that. They were aware that that was happening. And so I was trying to build this on the side. And there came a point, it was about the middle of May, when I realized that I could not do both. And I had to choose. And so that for me was, I guess if you had to pick a rock bottom, that for me was probably the toughest decision that I've ever had to make, because it was taking a chance on myself and walking away from, it was a great job. I had a 6-figure income. I had a company car. I had tenure. I had lots of benefits and perks. And I was literally stepping off a cliff into nothingness.
Wow. That is scary.
It was very scary. And especially, I think part of this too, and a lot of your guests, that you've had on this show have gone through some very traumatic things and have just incredible stories where they have hit rock bottom. And I have had this sort of feeling of guilt for many years, because I've never really had anything horrible happen to me. I've never had, suffered abuse or addiction or, a lot of things that a lot of people have to deal with. And with that sort of came this guilt of, well, here I've had nothing horrible happen to me, and still, what am I doing with my life?
Mhm.
And so it was kind of like a double, just not a good place to be. But, at the same time, to see so many people around me and like so many guests on your show just rise up from so much difficulty, it was like, okay, well, if they can do it, why can't I?
Yeah. Yes. Wow. So that is, it's something that happens. I think that as women, especially, we're trained to compare a lot. And there's a guilt thing. Oh, well, I didn't have the bad things happen, so I got to feel guilty. Or, instead of, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful I got to read about that or listen to it and not have to walk down that road because of whatever. Right now you're in the situation we're all in with COVID, and that's something that it's how you're showing up. You didn't even mention COVID as a situation, and you're in with the rest of us. So I think it could have a lot to do with how you're showing up. Like, you're not seeing things that other people, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? So that you're here and you're that.
It's funny that you say that, because it was literally in the middle of COVID that I walked away from my job. Like, it wasn't even, it was a little bit of a factor in my mind, of course, because it was the end of May, and, it was obviously, the future was a little uncertain with what was happening. I don't think anybody expected it to drag on this long, including me. But, I am a believer that timing is perfect. Timing is everything, and everything happens for a reason. But I still need to step up and make the best of, whatever situation I'm creating for myself. I'm still the sole person responsible for where my life goes next.
Yes.
So,
and if you're listening in, sometimes this season, especially this universal pause, COVID, all that's going on this year has caused a lot of people to have work life shifts. Maybe they're working from home and they still have a job, or their hours got cut, and now they're able to look at really living and doing their passion and purpose in life versus a job. And you can show up and be your best and really give your talents at a business. But if it's something else is calling you, and it's bigger than that, and it's more aligned with your purpose and vision and mission in life, then you're gonna get rerouted one way or the other, or you're gonna come to the point, like Megan, like you came to this point where you're like, okay, it's time to go do this, and I need to get rid of the security blanket.
Yes. And it was something I was hanging on to for a long time. And it wasn't even just the security blanket and that feeling of having this safe umbrella to do, business, but it was also not having the belief in myself and having very limited thinking and very, just a mindset that was holding me back. And I've had so many awakenings this year. I mean, it's been crazy, but a lot of support from a lot of people, a lot of great books, a lot of great training, a lot of great mentors that have, and it's been years in the making. I mean, this has been a struggle I've had for years. And so to finally reach this point where it's like, I finally believe enough and I feel confident enough to take that leap. And so now that's what I do. And now I help other people. So my company is LifeBacon. And since bacon makes everything better, it's all about making life better and helping people wake up to, whatever that is for them, whatever that spark, and to hold them accountable and keep them moving forward.
Yes. And I think that's something that a lot of times we give up parts of our passion and purpose in life to do our responsibilities, whether that's we have kids or we're taking care of our parents or something that we got to pay our own bills. And so we have to go do that job or that thing to help other people or our children, whatever it is, provide. And we grow up and we have to stop doing other things like playing and having fun. And, maybe you liked horseback riding or swimming or dancing and you were on a softball team or whatever it was. And all of a sudden you get to this certain age, 18, and it's like, bzz, it's over. You can't go play anymore. Now you've got to be serious and you've got to do these adult things. And who wants to do that? Because the other pieces of us, that's the part of us that's the most beautiful part. That's our meditation in motion sometimes. That's where we're connecting with the freedom of being a child and just enjoying simple things. Sometimes happiness is really the simplest thing, whatever that is. For me, it was swimming. I was on a junior Olympics team. I was swimming all the time as a kid. And it was a mental release for me to go swim. It was like my yoga. I was in the deepest meditation. I could swim laps. To this day, if I get upset, I'll do 3 or 4 hours of laps. And they'll be like, whoa, I didn't know she could swim. And she could and if I'm upset, I'll just swim. And I'll feel, when I get out of that pool, I'm like, oh, I feel like it's all gone. I left all my problems behind and I was free. And so that's something that Life Sizzle that you're helping people find again is so important, to not be so serious.
Oh my gosh. I love that you are saying all of this, because that is such a huge part of what I teach and what LifeBacon is all about, is adding in, the fun. In fact, I have been dubbed PhD Doctor of Fun, which is PHUN. So it's all about infusing that, there is no reason when you hit 18 that you have to stop acting like a kid. And in fact, that is one of the first things I recommend that people do, is start doing the things that they did as a child. And it's those activities like your swimming and, the things that are going to tap into that kid inside, that's going to take you back to that time when you believed anything was possible, right? And it's that little superhero inside of you. And it's going to wake up parts of your brain that you didn't even know existed. And you're going to be, just look at things differently, whether it's, a different avenue to promote your business or a different idea on how to run your business. There's so much creativity that comes out of play and laughter.
If you have children, or elders that you're caring for right now. A lot of people, I mean, I have two of my youngest are home with me because the school's closed down, the dorms are closed, and so they're home. And it's hard when you're that young and you've got to be home so many hours. And
Yeah.
luckily, little part-time things, so they have to wear masks and this and that, but they get to go out and do something, and they're very careful. But it is difficult, and that was something that I was like, we got to play every day. We got to find fun stuff. We got to do stupid, crazy things.
Yes.
We found this place called Sky Jump, and it's
Wow.
I don't know if you've heard of it. It's like, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000 square feet of these trampolines. Like, okay, I know I'm going to go take you somewhere different. And so I was like, you're going to have me jump for hours, but I wanted to get them. Now, these are kids that are really not kids anymore. They're young adults, so they're in their 20s. We go back and we're jumping and to music, and they have us doing games and all this different. It's like this whole couple hour field trip on the trampolines. And we all turned into little kids again. We were laughing so hard. We were crying. It was the best.
I love that.
We had a blast.
That reminds me. I mean, when I was a kid, my parents took us to this it was like a trampoline park. I didn't even know those still existed. That is awesome. I got to find one.
Oh yes. And it's so fun. And they got music, and, it's different now with the social distancing. You've got to have your mask and everything, but some of them are still open depending on where you live, or just it's something silly and crazy that is outside of your comfort zone. And I think it teaches us, like, you stepped out of a career to really go into your purpose and passion. It's the same thing. Stepping out of our comfort zone in other ways helps us to be able to take those steps that are really important in our career, our business, our personal lives. When it's like we're using a muscle.
Yeah. Yeah. It takes, you have to work it, and it takes practice, and it might feel strange at first, or it might be hard for some people to, be silly or to just find time to laugh. And if it's not part of your daily schedule, I recommend scheduling it in and actually setting alarms to take time to laugh or play. I mean, you should be having serious, like, gut painful moments of laughter at least 3 times a day, where you're laughing so hard that your stomach hurts and you're crying. I mean, it's so important. There's so many health benefits with laughter as well. But yeah, if it's hard for you to take time to do that, you have to schedule it in.
And here's the thing. Okay, so if you're running a business and you're in leadership in that business, the most important thing, especially this year when people have so much going on at home, so many other things are happening. If you can add a little bit of fun, if you don't have a public place and you're working, preparing something or doing something where you can have music, put the music on, or have a motivational time. Like, we have a power hour at work. I have a big team that I work with, and we do real estate and this and that, and that's my other life. And so we have a power hour, and then I do an online course with that. And so we have fun, and
yes,
show up. They work and they're more productive.
There have been studies, that show that.
Yes.
That productivity level goes up as much as 500%. I have seen studies on this when people are more engaged and having fun with their work. And so, I also do corporate training as well, and have all kinds of fun games and activities that businesses can incorporate. It doesn't have to take long, take an hour, take 30 minutes out of the day, get everyone together. Everyone is so burnt out on Zoom calls and meeting after meeting, and just like, so much mundane activity. And so you got to add some fun, and it really will re-energize the whole team.
And politically speaking, and I'm not getting political, everyone, but politically speaking, years ago, they asked me what your political party is. And I was very young, and I said, well, I'm with the Free Spirit party. Like, I didn't know what the parties were called.
Yeah.
That's what I knew about politics. But I was invited in. A friend was running for assembly, and I helped with their campaign. I didn't know, it was really kind of nonpartisan. It was for a friend. And I got involved with helping with their vote and this and that. Do you know, they wanted me to run everything, and I got many jobs in the political realm because I was just getting people to be happy.
Yeah.
They wanted to get out the vote and have fun. And because we had so much fun and we'd make games and all this crazy stuff, that everybody would show up and they're like, oh, you could be the president. You could run for office. I was like, oh, I'd run for my life. The leadership, it was the leadership and just having fun. I mean, there were people there that were older people. They were in their 80s. I have one guy, he looks 60 and he was actually 90. I remember very well that I met him at a Starbucks, and we were all gathering to go back to the headquarters to get this vote out for my friend that was running for assembly. And he says, oh, it's my 90th birthday today. And I said, I'm going to card you. And it really was. And what kept him young was he was still active in the community, volunteering, having fun. He played golf every morning. That was his thing. He always had to play golf. And then he would be involved in everything related to the community, politics, or with the schools, even though his kids were all grown, obviously, at this point. And he was just involved and living, and everything was fun. And you would, if you met him, you would say he's 60, maybe. Yeah, he looked really good.
That is so encouraging. And I love that story because it's proof positive that it works. And there are so many other stories like that, how just being engaged and being a participant in life. I mean, it's like I mentioned earlier, that life atrophy, when you're just on the sidelines and just watching life pass you by and not engaged and not living to your potential, man, it's such an awakening when you finally come to this. I got to tell you this little story because this was when I knew that I'd made the right choice, because I've never in my life been a morning person. And in fact, my husband knows, do not look at me, do not talk to me, do not engage. I need a couple hours to wake up and get my day going. And after I quit my job and started doing LifeBacon full time, Sheila, I can't even tell you, I wake up at 4:30 or 5 in the morning, which is probably a little too early, but I bounce out of bed. I'm cheery. I'm excited. I'm chatty. And my husband is like, what the heck just happened here? But it's crazy. And that to be my entire life thinking I was not a morning person, right? And telling myself this, it wasn't that I wasn't a morning person. I just wasn't on the right path. I wasn't living my purpose. I wasn't being true to me. I wasn't fulfilled, and that's so important. That's such an important piece to having a happy life. Yes,
it really does make a difference. And I mean, I quit coffee a couple months ago, and the doctor said it's probably something I had to give up. And I was like, I've given up gluten. I've given up all these a list longer. And I was like, and now I've got to give up coffee. How am I ever going to stay awake and do these 14 and 16-hour days that I do? And, how am I going to function? And I love to do, so I'm playing while I'm working. So I'm having a blast. So I'm this is me having fun. And so, do you know, I had a couple headaches. I was tired 1 or 2 days, a little bit, and I had more energy than ever. And it was,
I believe it.
I didn't need the coffee. It was something I was taught that you have to do.
Yeah. My husband and I, neither of us drink coffee, which is kind of strange that neither of us do. But yeah, I've always said music is my coffee, because if I'm ever feeling tired or I just can't get off the couch, you just put on a song and I'm up and dancing. And so, yeah, I mean, when you've got some passion and excitement inside, you don't need stimulants like that.
Exactly. And, it's really interesting because with all my hours that I work, then the pandemic hit, and so I didn't have my cleaning help anymore. And I was like, well, if I'm working 16 hours a day, I want to delegate those things to somebody else. And then I got delegated those things again. And I was like, wait, this is so not cool. And at first I was not happy about it. I was like, oh my gosh. And now we got to clean things like to a medical grade clean because of this, when it first came out, they're like, okay, we don't know. It could be on a box. It could be on a bag. It could come in from the store. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never cleaned so much in my whole entire life. This is ridiculous. I'm 2 hours to put the groceries away because I had to clean everything.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Clean, and wipe everything down. And oh my gosh. And then I turned on not the TV, but I have the TV that has the music videos. And so I the music videos, and all of a sudden the time goes by fast. I'm singing, I'm dancing, I'm not even thinking about it anymore. And I'm having my little bit of exercise in the middle of a day or at night, whatever. And it really helps. So just music changes your state, your mental state. And so I really enjoy that now. Although I would be happy to have help again. It's kind of, I'm used to it now. And I'm like, wow, I'm saving so much money, and I can, donate that to something more important because I kind of got used to it. If that makes any sense. It's been so long that we've been on this pandemic thing.
That's a great example, because I know we've all had to make different adjustments, but it's funny how, what you thought you could never do, and then suddenly you're doing it. And I mean, that's kind of how my story goes too.
Yeah. So now I'd love to hear more about what you do with your LifeBacon program and how that works, so that people listening in, maybe they want to join or get more involved with what you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you for that. There's so many different ways to get involved. I'm all over social media. I put out a lot of free content, just little inspirational videos, how to help boost your confidence, how to overcome burnout, how to survive if you're alone going through COVID, or how to survive in close quarters with your loved one. So it's just all different kinds of, it's all about how to make your life better. I have a podcast that I'm launching next week, which I'm really excited about. And it's called the Sizzle, and it's all about how to make your life better. But yeah, I have all kinds of different programs. I can offer one-on-one coaching. I have group coaching. I have monthly membership. I do corporate training. I did a challenge not long ago, a 5-day challenge. It's the Find Your Sizzle 5-day challenge. I have a 90-day program called the BLD. It's Building the Life of Your Dreams. So there's really so many different ways that people can get some LifeBacon and get some sizzle into their life. I have a free newsletter called Bacon Bits that goes out monthly. You can sign up for that. Basically, if you go to lifebacon.com, there's all kinds of information there about, what different programs I offer. And yeah, it's all about finding your sizzle and adding some fun.
I love that. That's so important. And I think community right now is our key to freedom, especially as we're going back to lockdowns in certain states. We need to connect, get into groups, join a challenge, check out the LifeBacon and get support, because there's times where we need others, a peer group, to help us get back on track and stay on track because of the ups and downs of what's going on. And as we connect with people like Megan with LifeBacon, we're able to just have more fun and stay in that place. And then that helps our family, our friends, our community, people at work. They feel that energy. Imagine when somebody walks into the room and their energy is low, we're all like, whoa, and everybody feels it at work. Yeah. And the same thing is true when somebody comes to work and they have positive, upbeat, high energy. That changes the energy in the room and the productivity. And so we need to stay around those groups so that when we go to help other people that may be in a difficult situation or maybe at a lower energy, we can bring that energy because we've had a refueling and an accountability.
Yes, that I'll tell you, Sheila, that's the number one thing that people struggle with is the accountability and staying committed because most people have dreams and most people have something that they've been wanting to do and either they've started or they keep putting it off or they're too scared and they just there's something that is limiting that belief or stopping them from moving forward. And so that's what I like to provide is that the accountability and the motivation to keep putting one foot in front of the other. I have a process called the 5 steps to bacon, and each letter stands for something. And it's a whole, we go through it in the 5-day challenge. We go through it in the 90-day program, but it's all about, figuring out what you want, why you want it, what's in the way, starting to take committed action day after day, infusing that joy, and then giving back. And it's like a full circle.
I love that. All right. Well, I'll be in one of your next challenges for sure.
Yeah.
So hopefully our listeners will join in and we'll see you there. So stay tuned. Again, what is the one website people can go to?
It's LifeBacon.com.
Okay.
And I actually have a free book there called the LifeBacon Playbook. Let's get serious about having fun. So that ties right into everything that we've talked about today. There's a lot of great ideas. It's a quick 20-minute read, but just some ideas on how to infuse joy into your life because it's so important. So LifeBacon.com.
All right. Thank you, Megan. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stay tuned.
Thanks so much.
If you are just tuning in, welcome back. This is the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you rebuild, reinvent, and reboot your business or personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and we are here today on NBC's KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'd like to share how you can redesign your life. So here is a brief portion of one of my chapters on lifestyle redesign in my new book, bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. So take a listen to Lifestyle Redesign. Chapter 11, Lifestyle Design. This chapter is going to look a little different than the other chapters. Instead of starting out with a rock bottom moment and ending with that person's moment of empowerment, we are going to compare the lives of 2 women. The life of Anne. Anne was very athletic growing up. As a young adult, she was active and healthy and loved to exercise. She helped rescue animals, volunteering at the local shelter to share her love with those animals. Then she got married and had kids. Anne gave up a lot of her passions and the things that made her happy in order to please everybody else. Her husband is allergic to animal dander, so she couldn't have pets at home, and she gradually stopped going to the shelter too. She didn't stay as active as she'd been when she was single. She said yes to all her friends, doing anything they asked her to. She cared for a lot of people, but she didn't set boundaries. Anne's days were long and busy, full, but not fulfilling. Anne had a vision of how she wanted her life to look, but she woke up one day and realized that she was living a very different life. Eventually, Anne's health failed. She developed many health issues because she had stopped eating healthy foods, exercising, and taking time to rest her mind. She spent a lot of money on health care instead of spending time staying healthy. When she really needed people to help her, she didn't know how to ask. Some of her friends had more boundaries than Anne, so they said no to her requests, even though in the past she had helped them move or with accounting or babysitting. People weren't willing to give as much as she had, so she was at a loss. And with some of the people in her life who did want to reciprocate, Anne wasn't able to be vulnerable or gracious enough to receive. Anne is at the point of retiring from a job she doesn't love, and she's physically and financially unable to keep up with her friends and family. She sees her friends doing work they're passionate about and talented at, and it affects her self-worth when she compares her life to theirs. She feels stuck, upset, and resentful, and she's angry with herself for letting life slip by. Anne thought she was doing the right things. She was a good student, a good daughter and sibling, the one who didn't need so much attention. She was taught to put everybody else first, and she's done an amazing job of teaching everybody else to treat her like a doormat. She never filled up her own self, and now she has a very painful void in her life. The life of Barbara. Barbara has designed her life and lives it by her design. She has still done things for other people, but she follows her own definition of happiness and success. Interesting things happened in her childhood, but at some point, she decided that she was going to live life on her terms. Barbara made a lot of mistakes. She tried to live her passion 3 or 4 different times in different ways. It didn't work out at first, but she was determined. At first, she wasn't even sure what that looked like, but she knew it would involve art, dance, and educating children. As it unfolded, she started teaching children to read and created a story time program. Looking back, she laughs about her ups and downs. The determination to live her life and work around her passion and her gifts was considered non-traditional, so she experienced some bumps that made her strong and resilient. Barbara kept solid rituals, routines, and boundaries in place. She eats healthy foods and takes care of herself so she can help other people too. She made her self-care a priority, knowing that she was modeling that for her children. Barbara and Anne are the same age, but Barbara looks much younger because she's healthier and happier. She wakes up in the morning and is excited to go to work. When Barbara looks back at her life so far, she's at peace. She knows she's done her highest good. No part of her feels that she wasted time on things that didn't align with her values. She lives exactly the life she was supposed to, the life she chooses. And she's excited for whatever comes next. You only get one. Anne has lived her whole life based on what other people wanted, whereas Barbara has lived life for herself. And it's still full of love and other people. Which life would you choose? Maybe you choose a little of each. These are extreme examples, so maybe you choose neither. The point is that it's your life and you get to choose what it looks like. Anne didn't choose to design her own life, but it's not too late. It's not over for her. It doesn't matter what your age is. Until you're not here anymore, you can still make a change. The rest of your life can become the best part of your life. All the decisions you make have an impact on your future, on your whole life. They build upon each other. If you don't decide how you're going to live your life, somebody else is going to decide for you, and most people are happy to do that. They're happy to sell you the wrong house so they can make a commission. They're happy to put you in a job you don't like for less pay so you do all the work. But if you're not happy, it's not a blessing. I'm not a Christian Scientist, but Mary Baker Eddy, the founder of Christian Science movement, said, "Whatever blesses one, blesses all." If you're not happy, or if you're not living your essence, your truth, your life, it's hard for you to send happiness to other people in your life. But when you are happy and using your talents and gifts, there's no competition. There's no ego. You're just connected to everything and everybody in love, and it's beautiful. Everyone has that beauty in them. in the way they're here and who they are. We're all amazing, talented, beautiful, incredible people in our own right. When we try to shift and fit into a mold of who we believe we're supposed to be, the adult who never plays, who goes to work and takes on debt to buy a house, it kills our souls. Every day we lose sight of who we really are. How can you be happy when the most important parts of you are hidden or quieted because you followed somebody else's rules? How many people have felt like they had to go to school to become a doctor or a lawyer just because their parents wanted them to? And they're miserable. If they were living their truth, they would be happy, and that's worth even more than money. That allows them to attract the right peer group and a partner who's aligned with their truth. It may sound obvious, but when you're not living your truth, you're living a lie. When that's the case, you may say that you want something, but it doesn't align with you because it's not real. And you can't fake a life and a lie for long. The real you, the beautiful, amazing essence of you, is going to escape every time. Free your soul. It's time to free your soul. Start by figuring out your temperament, talents, and what you really love. You can refer back to the REBOOT activity in Chapter 6 to get started. There are surveys and tests you can take, but you have to be honest with your answers, so honest it may even hurt other people's feelings, like the parents who always dreamed of you becoming a doctor while you wanted to be a cruise ship comedian. Doing this will free your soul to go be who you're really supposed to be. If you are just tuning in, this is the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you rebuild, reinvent, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and we are here today on NBC's KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. Today, we are focusing on how to get back on track and reboot this year as we actually heading into the holidays and our new year. And many of our states and globally, actually, countries are starting to go back onto lockdown. So with that in mind, this is an interesting and possibly difficult season for some of our family, friends, and loved ones who may never have ever had a tough situation like this year. So keep this number 211 in mind. This is something that you can Google 211 and your state, and you will find resources that each state provides and province in Canada. 211 makes it easy to find food, housing, job training, after-school programs, and so much more. And the most important thing is that I would say 60% of the people I've surveyed have never heard of this valuable resource. So if you have a place of work you're still going to, ask if they can post this. A lot of times people don't really ask for help when they need it. But if they see a sign like this, they're more likely to go to a public health agency or help agency to get help getting meals on the table, help with transportation, income assistance, utility assistance, help with housing, health care, mental health, which is so important, especially this year. And it actually makes work a lot easier when your coworkers have their needs met. Obviously, it may be that they're a two-income family, and even though they're working one job, they still aren't making ends meet this year. So this is really important to share. Even if you don't need it yourself, keep it in mind for family, friends, loved ones, someone you find in the community that may need resources. I think obviously prayer works, blessings work, helping people, a listening ear, being kind. Kindness is so valuable this year. Lots of people are kind of divided about so many different issues, and as we unite in humanity and help each other, this is going to make all the difference. And you're able to give what you can. You can give a smile, you can give a listening ear, but then to be able to say, and hey, here's a resource to get food on your table or help you with housing right now. And so I think that 211 is just invaluable, and I have to share it as much as I can because I believe it will help people out there listening. So keep that 211 in mind. And now I'd like to get into a couple of Dear Sheilas because we are heading into the holidays. I'm going to share a few Dear Sheilas that kind of touch on some situations that might occur during the holidays. So take a listen. Bootstraps and bra straps, the formula to go from rock bottom and back into action in any situation, is now available. The heart of this book was written for you. If you're going through a tough situation this year, if you've hit a rock bottom, I want to let you know that number one, you are not alone. And next, that you can, in fact, reinvent and reboot your life on your terms.
In the fall of 1991, Heather Garden, an athletic 27-year-old, experienced a strange sensation in her leg.
There was periods of times when I couldn't physically move myself.
Heather was diagnosed with secondary progressive multiple sclerosis. The medical system has no cure.
It was living this life of acceptance and resign yourself to the fact that, you have this disease and it's going to get worse.
Heather believes she was able to do something the medical system couldn't: cure herself.
All right, time to go to work. Stop and get the teeth sharpened.
In the fall of 1991, Heather Garden, an athletic 27-year-old, experienced a strange sensation in her leg.
There was periods of times when I couldn't physically move myself.
Heather was diagnosed with secondary progressive multiple sclerosis. The medical system has no cure.
It was living this life of acceptance and resign yourself to the fact that, you have this disease and it's going to get worse.
Heather believes she was able to do something the medical system couldn't: cure herself.
All right, time to go to work. Stop and get the teeth sharpened.
If you're just tuning in, welcome back to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you rebuild, reinvent, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and we are here today on NBC's KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. So I wanted to share with you that on November 16th, that is a Monday, November 16th, I will be having special guest Judith Morrow, who is the author of The Healing of Heather Garden. The Healing of Heather Garden is an award-winning... If you are just tuning in, this is the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you rebuild, reinvent, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and we are here today on NBC's KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. Today, we are focusing on wellness practices as the second part of this show. And I would love to share with you a very special guest that will be appearing on the show on November 16th. That is a Monday, November 16th, and she will be on my feature show between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock p.m. So it'll start at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 2 Central, and 3 Eastern time. and her name is Judith Morrow. She wrote a documentary film called The Healing of Heather Garden, and it is an incredible film of hope, inspiration, and shares a real life story of a lady named Heather Garden and her journey back to healing. She was diagnosed with MS, and the doctors kind of gave up on her. She wasn't even able to walk, and she took a journey of her own healing process and got back on track. So I think it is a very important movie to watch and enjoy during this year, with all the different things that we are healing from as we get back on track. I want you to take a listen now to a little trailer that shares a little bit more about the movie. Okay, take a listen.
In the fall of 1991, Heather Garden, an athletic 27-year-old, experienced a strange sensation in her leg.
There was periods of times when I couldn't physically move myself.
Heather was diagnosed with secondary progressive multiple sclerosis. The medical system has no cure.
It was living this life of acceptance and resign yourself to the fact that, you have this disease and it's going to get worse.
Heather believes she was able to do something the medical system couldn't: cure herself.
All right, time to go to work. Stop and get their teeth sharpened.
So that was just a little preview of The Healing of Heather Garden by Judith Morrow. And again, Judith will be my special guest on the show on the afternoon feature hour, 1 p.m. Pacific time, 2 Central, 3 Eastern, on the Sheila Mack Show, right here on NBC's KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. And she will be our special guest on Monday, November 16th. So I hope you have time to tune in to that show and keep listening to the daily morning commute show. So for now, I would like to continue to discuss wellness a little bit more by sharing a brief portion of my wellness chapter from my book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. All right, take a listen. All right, this is Sheila Mack, and I have special guest Judith Morrow. She is the award-winning film writer and director of the film The Healing of Heather Garden, and she's here to share a little bit more about this film. Go ahead. Hi, Judy.
Sheila, hi. Really great to be here. And I'm so excited to be able to share this film with people and a broader community. It's been incredibly beautiful to see the responses that I get when people actually see this film. It's just a half an hour, but it's thrilling and intense, and it takes you up and down, and it's quite uplifting and joyful. So beyond the pain, the severe pain that happens in the beginning of it, it's, for many people, it's given them hope that if Heather can do what she did, they can get themselves better too. And so for many people, it started them on a journey.
How beautiful. Yes, so if you want to watch The Healing of Heather Garden, you can go ahead and go to the website healingofheathergarden.com and view the movie there. All right, thank you, and we will be back after these messages. Welcome to Dear Sheila, answering real questions with real solutions to help reboot your life. What to do about the mental health crisis facing parents and small business owners as our world reopens.
Dear Sheila, I'm a parent and small business owner, and I admit I'm concerned about stepping back into full-time operations as my city starts to reopen. The other day, my close friend, who also runs a business, called me in tears as she found out one of her employees had attempted to take his own life due to all the isolation this year. As a small business owner and leader of my home, how do I help my family and check in on my employees while rebuilding and reinventing my entire business? I also struggle with my own mixed emotions as I prepare to reopen. How can I stay on track and mentally strong during these times? Signed, Boss Mom. Dear Boss Mom, this is definitely the year for rebooting and reinventing how we all run our businesses and homes. Allow time to possibly have a soft or slower reopening while taking good care of you. As the leader, how you show up each day is going to set the pace and emotional state of how your employees, clients, and family show up. It is more about how you choose to be and all that you are doing that will make all the difference. In the Boots formula I created, there are some steps that can help. The B in Boots is for being. It's about who you are being in all you are doing and who you need to be during this situation. You are going to have to show up and be very different than you were before this crisis. The first O in the Boots formula is for orientation. In order to get the outcomes you desire, you must be brutally honest here. I want X and I have 0 funds for that project. Your outcomes this year need to be realigned to where you find your new orientation on the map. The next O in the Boots formula is for order of operations. Now that you know who you need to be and where your orientation is on your map, you can decide in which order you must do things for the remainder of this year to achieve realistic outcomes. The order in which you do things is going to really drive your results. The T in the Boots formula is for thinking. This is where mindset and your concern to stay strong and help your family and employees maintain mental health awareness comes in. This year especially, setting healthy boundaries and having the resources available to connect loved ones to the right tools can make all the difference. Remember, you don't have to be all and have all the answers, yet the right resources for your employees and family really helps. The S in the Boots formula is for stepping up. This is the part that takes all of the other pieces you have planned out and puts you and your business back into action. The time is now for us to collectively work together for the hurting among us. My hope is that this video series and my new book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, helps. In my book and on my website, I do provide plenty of free resources to help anyone dealing with a rock bottom situation reinvent and reboot their business and personal life. If you have a question for Dear Sheila, message me at www.dearsheila.com. As always, I wish you life, love, laughter, and light. I'm giving you some homework. Grab a copy of my latest book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. That's right. If life has knocked you down, get ready to pick yourself back up and give your problems the boot. I look forward to hear about your read, and we'll see you next time. You may get a copy of Bootstraps and Bra Straps on Amazon, Audible, and Kindle, as well as at www.sheilamac.com.